Jam on toast!
Hey everybody, I'm Cam and we're here today to talk about Escape from LA. Phil Defranco's doing this for his movie club, so here it is. I do have to say, this is one I wouldn't go back and watch if it wasn't a movie club thing, so take it as you will. The short sale is Snake's being sent in to forcibly retrieve this black box from the local cartel leader and eliminate the president's daughter who's shacking up with that same cartel leader by order of the president. So right there you have a great anti-hero setup. Are the good guys really the good guys, or are the bad guys sometimes doing some good? I hated for this, spoiler alert, was that when the cartel leader gets shot, he still goes through and lifts this super heavy RPG up and does this really precise shot on a moving helicopter. Of all the ridiculous things that go on in this movie, maybe that's the joke, I couldn't get behind it. I was just sad at that point. But I love it was the guy who actually shot the cartel leader mid-center in the chest from a moving helicopter with an AK-47. He jumps out of the helicopter and ends up staying in LA after all this, so it's kind of a funny karmic joke there. The MVP, there's got to be one, is definitely Kurt Russell. He nails the Snake character from beginning to end, and the movie wouldn't be what it is without him doing that. Aesthetics. For the time this movie was shot, there weren't a lot of good special effects around. And honestly, they did a decent production job of getting it to happen. So while the production value overall was okay, I didn't get behind the actual look of everything. They take Snake and they put him in like black on black on black. On purpose, they specifically gave him his outfit in the movie with functional purposes, but that never came up. The president's daughter's dressed like a hooker. I think that's on purpose. There's stars on the map Eddie, who's in his weird little suit and hat, and I dug the outfit, but every single character you look at seems out of place amongst all the other out of place characters. There's really no theming until you get to the president's soldiers. They spend so much time trying to express that Snake's a bad dude that don't take no one. And I just didn't care. They set up several scenes to highlight this and carried on that idea, and I was bored. What really makes the aesthetics pop in this is the action scenes, the shooting, the explosions, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a guy action flick, and it looks like one. I just don't hold a very high standard for those sort of things. Aesthetics gets a 40. Moving on to character development. Overall, I can only think of 5 characters maybe they really developed. I didn't see a lot of character development in this. Snake's very much, I'm a bad guy. And that's fine, but they highlight it and express it and they make it a whole theme of the movie. It's boring and he doesn't grow. He doesn't show himself to be a good guy after all. The only redeeming qualities he has is with the president's daughter, and for whatever reason, I think that's a ploy to make girls actually like the movie, remind them of a caring father type figure. Most of the other characters were terribly inconsistent. They would flip from one side to the other. Even the bad guy cartel man, there just really wasn't a lot for me to get my hands around. Character development gets a 30. Storyline. The short sale's really the whole movie. You know from the very beginning that he's gonna get out of there. You know that he's probably not gonna die from his little poison timer thing they give him. And the entire time he was on the basketball court, I couldn't figure out how he was going to survive unless they just made it happen, which they did. There's very little of anything to pull out for the storyline, other than there was one, and that it was there to support all the action scenes they wanted to put in the movie. Storyline gets a 20. Compulsion. Man, was I bored. Just bored. Throughout the whole movie. Bored. Yeah, there's a big muscle guy with an eye patch. I was like, why do I care? I didn't care about the Snake character at all. He didn't do anything interesting. If I want to see people shoot guns and watch explosions, there's 1,000 better movies that do that. And there's 1,000 different things that would be interesting about each of those movies that don't show up in this. Most of the scenes are just so awkward that I don't understand why they're there, and I can't pay attention to what's actually happening in the story. I just didn't find a single scene in this entire movie that gripped me, made me want to keep watching the movie. I could have turned it off at any time and been happier. Compulsion gets a 5. If you average all that up together, you get a 23.75. For me, that puts it in the runaway category. Well, for my wrap-up review, I gotta say, this was a successful movie at one point. It's got a good following. So who am I to say it's really a bad movie? It just didn't appeal to me. This is a dumb guy flick. You turn your brain off, you watch the shootings and explosions, And for that, it's done well. You minimize the story so you put more action and adventure in the movie, and that's what this does. I think some of the weird scenes and the epic moments where he has to choose whether or not to shoot the girl, where he has to choose how to take on the situation where they've got him surrounded towards the end of the movie, I think those are put in there to show people that they're not actually shitty filmmakers. They just made an action movie that doesn't hold up substantially when you go to evaluate it academically. It doesn't mean it's not a good time, it just wasn't for me. So while I don't recommend this, don't let me stop you from checking it out. And if you enjoyed the movie, I'm glad you enjoyed it, even if I didn't. That's all I got for you guys. I'm Cameron. Have a nice day.